Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Physiology of Endurance Running podcast. Another guest. We're getting them rolling in now. It's good. I'm enjoying it. It's nice. I love talking to you, Owain, but it's nice to have a fresh face on the on Riverside where we're recording our podcast. And yeah, very lucky today to be joined by the legend that is Callum Hawkins. And I think if you're a Brit, he needs no introduction, but just what he's achieved over such a long time frame is super impressive. I went for marathon very early, but immediately had success. I finished 9th at the Olympics in Rio in the marathon, and then twice 4th at the World Champs in Doha in 2019. And where was
2017 in London?
Home game, home championships, 4th place is just ridiculous. 2:08 and 60 flat for the half a marathon pre-supershoe is incredible running. So still in the sport, on his way back, hoping you'll come to it at the end of the interview, still got his sights on being the best athlete he can and running fast times. And I'm going to steal Owain's quote that he's already said to me before we started recording this intro, just the sport is in a better place when Callum Hawkins is running, because he just brings so much to the table, like fearless, like front running, doesn't mind taking it on, and just also really down to earth, nice guy who just puts in a lot of work and gets a lot of success from that. So great to talk to Callum and put some questions to him. So that's what's coming up in the episode today. I hope I've sold it to you, but yeah, I've definitely really enjoyed chatting to Callum. And I was a bit starstruck because he was always still is someone who would look up to, and it's just, a year or so older than me and just doing things at the time. When still now, I think that's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. How's especially back in the 2010s, how's a Caucasian guy running that quick and taking on the best in the world?
Yeah, I said to you before, right? Two of Callum's races are two of his well-known races are my favorite ones to put on the treadmill. Murakami half is Japanese running race coverage is way better anyway. I don't need sound when I'm on the treadmill, so I don't care they're speaking Japanese on the commentary, but the graphics are way better than most other races. But it's just Callum at the front. And I tend to watch 2020 where he ran 60:01, so he ran 1 second difference at the same race or twice. But in that race, he drops Kelvin Kiptum in sort of the 19th K. So that sort of shows, first of all, how Callum runs, but the type of quality of athlete that he's, on his day, he could, absolutely bury. And yeah, like you said, if you see Callum on a start line, you see Callum up near the front of a race, just aggressively pushing. I think that's the type of running you want to tune in for, isn't it?
Absolutely. You just know that he's going to completely empty himself in whatever race he does, and he's going to he'll finish, he'll cross the finish line and there'll be nothing left there, completely buried himself. And you've got to respect that. I think it's just impressive, but entertaining to watch as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed recording that. Before we get to that interview, we give a shout out to Saw. We mentioned the latest best drop that we've had recently. I picked mine up last week. Haven't had the opportunity to wear it yet, but looks super nice. What you're thinking to your? Remind me what it's called. I've lost the name. The name's gone.
I wore mine on Rosin yesterday in the sun. There was actually sun out, so could wear mine. The graphene vest.
The graphene vest, that was it. Graphene. Yeah. What material is it? It's not carbon. It's graphene. I can't believe how lightweight it is. Have you weighed it yet? I want to do a comparison.
I haven't. No, I need to do. It's in the pile for washing after my session yesterday. So no, I had the vest and the marathon shorts on for last big sort of marathon session. I'm not doing a marathon, but big marathon session with Jen. So yeah, that was good. Good to carry the gels during that, even though it's just round rows in. I could have just put the gels. We talked about that, Callum, didn't we? The logistics of a long run now, a long session. They're made a lot easier by Sawkit. If you can put 6 gels in your pocket, that means you don't have to get someone on a bike with you to carry your gels or your bottles.
Yeah, I mean, because I've got bottles for London and it's the first marathon. I've had bottles for a long time. Definitely not good enough to have bottles in Valencia. But I I need to get back to actually practicing with the bottles. I reckon I could have a couple of soft flasks in my sore shorts.
Yeah,
Definitely, but
I'm certain I've seen people do 2 soft flasks in them. Like the amount you can get in them is pretty mad. And you've got the half tights as well, so you could get
yeah,
a
the
bigger bottle in the back.
half tights are the best for carrying stuff. The
Yeah.
split shorts are good, but half tights the design of a half tight just lends itself more to carrying higher volumes of gel, soft flask, phone, keys, whatever you need to put in
Yeah.
there.
I think one more thing to plug with Saw, just because last week's interview with David Chalfin, we talked a lot about the club scene, right? And I actually had a couple of messages from a couple of American guys I coach, sort of about the club scene doesn't exist in America in the same way. There's a really nice article on Saw called "Why We Wear It," and it's about your club vest. And I really enjoyed reading. The photography is really cool, as you'd expect with Saw, right? All of these photos, I'm like, oh, that makes running look obscenely cool. There's someone sat on top of football goalposts in their club vest, which I think's pretty cool.
Black and white, is it?
No, it's in color because your
Yeah,
club vest, you need the colors, don't you?
you
So
do need the colours, an important part of it.
I think it just speaks to the club scene. You've mentioned like you want to be the first club vest at London, don't you? So
Well, that's
you'll be
what's
repping
nice.
your
But
Ponte
my
colors.
club vest is a Saw vest, so I don't have to go. Right, I'm going to wear a crappy club vest in order to rep my club. I can wear like a really high quality vest. So I don't think I'm compromising on performance, but still repping Ponte Rodents, which would be cool. So yeah, definitely looking forward to putting that on for London Marathon. I might actually go and buy myself a new one because mine's been mine's been through a few cross country races now, and it's actually the only Ponte vest I've ever had. It's a black and white. The black's all good, but white is a bit grey these days. But yeah, that's more to do with the use I've put it through versus the quality of the material. So yeah, so go check them out. I best in the world, no question. So go check them out. Link in the show notes.
Nice. And I guess just quickly a plug Patreon. You can hear Dan and Jake Smith talk about their training before London. Some interesting discussion this past week.
So Owain was out on a run this morning listening to our as yet unreleased Road to London episodes, which we recorded yesterday, and we were getting like a live reaction in our group chat, like voice notes in response to mostly what Jake was saying, but also I think what I was coming out with as well. So if you're into finding about how two guys on the London Marathon Elite started training, preparing for their races in quite different ways, I would probably say. Then yeah, go check that out. And we've also got Jen making her journey to Rotterdam second marathon, and Owain on his way to this Anglo-Celtic trail race, which will be 3 weeks? We've 3 weeks to go, just under.
Less than 3 weeks now. It's two and a bit weeks for me. I raced on a Saturday. It's thrown me out racing on a Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's a bit because this will come out Wednesday. So when this comes out, yeah, you'll just have just over 2 weeks, I guess, isn't it, until race day?
Yeah, creeping up on us pretty quick. I did my last big session, and I actually wore my race shoes. So yeah, can hear about that with me and Jen as well.
You wore your race shoes on Ram Rose Inn?
No, not Ram Rose Inn, up on the Garth.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Rose Inn was just normal meta speeds.
Yeah, fair.
That'd be really rogue wearing trail shoes.
Trail shoes on a big road section with about 1 meter elevation over 35k or whatever you did. Yeah, that would be rogue. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, go check out Patreon. More bits on there as well. You can go and sign up for free to see what else is on there if you want access to the content. Some of it's free, most of it's behind a paywall. If you're really interested to just try and checking it out, you can buy a single episode and see if you like it or not. So go check that out. Links in the show notes. I think that's about it. Go and enjoy this interview with Callum. As I said, really enjoyed it. I hope you do too. Let us know your feedback, and thanks for listening.
So we're really excited today to be joined by Callum Hawkins. He's a 2:08:14 marathoner back in 2019 in London. 60 dead for the half. And he's got 2 fourth places at the World Championship Marathon in London in 2017 and Doha in 2019. You will have also seen him at cross country. One of my favorite races is the Great Edinburgh Cross. Really good race, really cool course as well. And yeah, road running around the world. Yeah, really excited to be joined by Callum. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us on. Look forward to good chat.
So yeah, I guess we wanted to talk through sort of your sort of training and I guess your career, and then maybe some of how that's interacted with sports science. But you moved quite early to the marathon. Was there sort of any, I guess, the staff, was there any like conscious decision to just really quickly go to the roads and to the marathon, or were you know, was that a draw, or what was behind it?
So a brief outline. I've always been like a big old diesel engine. I've always been at the upper distances as you move through the age groups, especially cross country. That was always where I thrived. And then my brother started early, around, I think roughly around the same age when I did it. He's 2 years older than me. So I kind of knew that was where I would be destined to go to. And then I was trying to do the traditional 5K, 10K, and that year I was specifically 2015, I think, or 2000. I can't quite remember the year, but I was having a terrible year trying to speed up, as they say, and go for the 5K, and I just became stale. And then the Olympic standards came out, and they dropped it from 2:12, which was the London time, to 2:14, and I was like, that's achievable. There's not really anyone in the marathon on the British side at that point. I think there was like one, maybe two, and I was like, I could run 2:14. If I got to go to the Olympics, that's another thing. And then, yeah, if it doesn't go wrong, I can always move back down to 10 and see how it goes. And then I went to it, and it seemed to thrive and really work for me. And then I ended up on the marathon train.
So you ran 2:12 for your debut, is that right?
Yeah.
And where was that set?
I was at Frankfurt. It's a decent starter marathon. Maybe it gets a bit twisty-turny at first, but it wasn't too quick. But granted, everything's changed now. So, and they gave us great support considering I was debuting. I wasn't really a name or anything, so it was a really good one to start with.
I mean, I remember that at the time and just being amazed seeing a Brit running 2:12, because that just didn't really happen. Like pre-super shoe, you had Scott Overall, who had qualified for the Olympics in Rio, in Tokyo, and in Paris, hadn't you? But apart from that, we hadn't had anyone good in that space. And then you and your brother came out of nowhere and just debuted these super fast marathons. I guess, was that like, was the buzz from that and the hype from that like a draw, like filling a gap in the space?
Originally the plan was, I got the time, the standard, but we didn't know what the actual qualifying. They hadn't announced if there was going to be a trial or not. Typical British athletics fashion. I think that was in like October as well, in 2015, and so we're well into the qualifying window. And then the plan was trying the 10K, see if I can get close to the 10K time, and then have a choice. But they didn't. They told us in the very start of November that it was going to be a trial in London, so there wasn't much turnaround. And I ended up having to do 3 marathons in 10 months or something like that. So I was quite a trial by fire to start a marathon career. But that's basically how it went. Just ended up on the train, and the training seemed to suit me. I seemed to get quicker at everything else just by doing marathon training.
And I guess contrasting to now, like what, pre super shoes, but what was like your fueling like during those races? What were you taking, drinks or gels, and sort of how many grams of carbs roughly do you remember were you taking?
I couldn't tell you the number, but originally it was no carbs in training. That was you got to train the ability to use the fat oxidation. So I was doing all the big marathon sessions with just water, really, if I needed it. But we were slightly ahead, I think, with the fueling. At the time, though, it was only 40 gram drinks. So when we're doing that, probably about 150 mils, maybe 200 mils. So you're talking 15, maybe 20 grams at a push every 5K. So you're probably, yeah. And then I had a gel in every bottle, but that was just in case I missed a bottle. I wasn't taking the gels. I reckon I was probably between, maybe 40 grams an hour. I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't too pernickety with it.
A different world to today. I can't imagine doing a marathon session with just water. That just sounds, not good fun.
Up to 2 hours, you can get away with it, but it's probably not the best.
Has your approach changed now that you're with your marathons and preparing? Are you fueling your sessions now? Or are you still taking that more traditional approach?
No, it's still, well, no, fueling a lot, and it starts earlier because you got to kind of train up like a muscle almost your gut. It's not necessary for the performance benefit or even the recovery benefit. It's literally just to get used to taking that sort of try and get 90 or at least 90 grams an hour, even on a 20-mile long run. I will throw it in. Sometimes I won't, sometimes I will, if it's just a standard long run. But if anything with efforts, I'll take. I think at the weekend I did 2x5 miles in the middle of a 20-mile, and that was I was doing about 60 grams per hour, but just to kind of keep that going and getting used to it.
That feels like quite a small amount, doesn't it, nowadays? Like 60 grams.
It is for you, but you just would happily suck on carbs all day long, I think, Owain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite hard. It's becoming a bit of a logistic game now. Like, you have to have somebody on your bike. You can't go out for a 20, 25-mile run on your own anymore.
It does become more challenging, yeah. So when you made that debut, how old were you, Callum? 2015?
I think it was 23. My maths are right.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 23.
Yeah, these days, I think that's probably less shocking. I think there's definitely like this certainly like you see East Africans make it pretty much debuting like when they're just skipping the track altogether and going straight into a marathon. But definitely at that period of time, you wouldn't see many 22, 23-year-olds jumping into the marathon. Was that always like the long-term plan, being a marathoner?
Yeah, pretty much. As much as you can say it was a long-term plan, the marathon's a beast of its own thing. If you can run fast enough over short distance, you probably will. You probably won't move up. But I always knew I was kind of destined. And then, you got the classic people shouting you must have a traditional 5K, 10K. But when you're a pro and you're not really getting into races and you're not making any money, sometimes you've got to roll the dice and bet on yourself and actually have a career. If I had potentially waited and done the traditional route and moved up when I was 28, 30, I might have had a full-time job. I might have never became a pro. So sometimes you just got to take the opportunity while it's there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting, isn't it? I think a lot of people aren't thinking about the commercial aspect of it. And to be honest, if you know you're going to be a marathon runner and you're not going to make it on the track, but you want to make it your living, then you need to have the capacity to train full time and really take it seriously, don't you? And if you can do that by getting some good results on the road, instead of taking your time by working through the distances and slowly creasing up, you're going to have to finish uni and get a job and be in the real world effectively. And then it becomes obviously much more challenging to balance training and work.
Yeah. And well, you've seen the way the work of 10K has gone. It's kind of disappearing. There's very little races. That was really starting to go when I was starting to look at moving up to the 10, because I kind of skipped the 10. Did it at the commies, but it was only for like a year and then almost straight onto the marathon. But to find the race for 10K and then the commercial side of that, and then get into the worlds, it's only 28 people can go. So it's like you have to run I can't remember, is it sub 27:30 now to get to the worlds
27
and stuff?
flat or something ridiculous. Yeah, or 27:10. Yeah.
Never mind getting in the shape of that. It's actually finding a race where you can to do that as well. It's a tough old gig. The roads are a lot easier in that aspect.
Yeah, more money on the roads.
That too.
A little bit. Just more opportunity, like you said. I mean, you obviously would convert really well from your shorter distances to the longer distances. But do you think some of that is, I mean, for example, like you've run 155 for 800 on your para 10, obviously not done that for a very long time, 354 for 15, 808 7.98 if we round, if we with decimal points in for 3K. And then 28.49 for 10,000. Have you run a bit quick on the road? I imagine you have.
Yeah, 28.02 on the roads.
Okay, so that's a lot quicker, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
not on your Para 10 though. I can see here. Although Para
I was
10
in Valencia. It's a
there,
legit one.
Yeah, got it there. But even so, to run a 60 flat for a half and a 208 off of a 28-minute 10K is very good conversion.
Yeah.
I would suggest. Do you think if you went back and trained for the 5K and those short distances now, you would go and run faster?
I'd like to think I could get at least a kind of 13:20s mark, maybe dip over. Myself and my brother are not the best with lactic, so I think that's a family trait. And then on the 10K, I reckon I could go 27:30 probably. But it's one of those things, you'll probably know, being a sports scientist, like some people just can't handle going over threshold, and I think I'm just a big aerobic monster when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, just looking like they get everyone running 27:40 at Valencia in a 10K, and then their halves are in 61s. Doesn't quite compute in my head. I'm not having any digs, but maybe I'm just being a bit too humble with what I achieved. And yeah, as you said, the conversion I had.
Yeah, I mean, again, like when you were running like 60 flat for a half, there weren't many Europeans running 60 flat for a half.
Nah, I think I don't think the roads were quite as popular. They've got certainly obviously exploded. And I think, yeah, with the shoes as well, it's now allowed a lot of people to convert easier. I don't know how you guys have felt with the conversion shoes. I think the best, I can't remember who said it, thing was, at least for the marathon, is you can make more mistakes with these shoes and get away with it. Whereas previously, if you made a mistake, you were done. It was like literally running in sand shoes that you'd wear at school back then.
Yeah, I think my first marathon, I have a New Balance Zantes. Do you remember them?
Yes, I used to train in them and then
Yeah.
race in the 1400s. So I had
Yeah.
the Zantes were more protective.
Yeah, I think I remember racing halves in the 1400s and just not being able to walk for a week afterwards, like calves just being absolutely in pieces. So I definitely think they're more forgiving, aren't they? If you do go out a bit aggressively now in a marathon, you're gonna probably hang on a little bit better than you would. Although you still see people blowing up.
Yeah, and you see, I know with your testing and running economy obviously gets improved a lot. I think that was one of my strengths. Pre-carbon shoes, is my running economy was pretty good. But obviously now with these shoes, it allows somebody with a huge old engine with poor running equality to access that big engine that they've got, which would obviously help them over 10 and even up to the half previously.
I guess in the build up to sort of some of your big sort of major races like the Olympics and then the Worlds, what were some of like the key sessions that you would be doing in preparation, and was there any that sort of run through those build ups that you always reflect back on and look to track progress?
We did a lot of in and outs, kind of Canova in and outs, if you can actually work out, because he can sometimes contradict himself with these sessions. It was the old stuff, so we used to do 11 sets of in and out Ks, and it'd be, I think it was 105% of marathon pace, and then 97% marathon pace for the slower K. We did 7 times 3K with a K float. That would be 103%, and then 92% for the slow, and then 4 times 5K with a K float, and I think that was 100% of marathon pace, and then 92. So yeah, a lot of in and outs, and then on a Sunday it would either be just a traditional long 24, 25 mile run, where you just go out and run, but you start speeding it up towards the end and get pretty quick. And then alternate weeks with what we call a Daniel session, which would be 5 mile warm up, 8 miles at marathon pace, 1 mile at half marathon pace, 4 miles at marathon pace, 1 mile at half marathon pace, and then 2 miles at marathon pace again. So, and then I can't remember what the cool down for that. So, kind of a lot of like that kind of stuff, really. I think the in and outs were probably the most beneficial thing for me. I think that's what got me the best bang for the buck and got me fit, really, really fit. So,
Yeah, I mean, you is it your dad who still coaches you?
yeah, still my
Yeah,
dad.
because I remember him giving a webinar during COVID, because everyone was doing webinars then, weren't they? Which is the thing to
Yeah,
do. And your dad, Rob Hawkins, and I remember him saying he was taking a lot of inspiration from like the Canova type of approach to training with like some of those big sessions you've described, but also from Jack Daniels
yeah,
as well. Is that still a big influence on your training, do you think?
yeah. I think things have changed a bit. Potentially trying. I can't remember who the other guy. I think even Canova's changed his training style because people don't seem to do a traditional long run anymore. I think it just seems to combine it with sessions. So the next marathon we're going to try potentially something different. I can't remember whose book my dad's been reading. But yeah, try a bit of double T, see how that goes.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, it's a cool thing to do these days, but I
yeah,
think probably
yeah.
for a
I mean,
reason.
I personally think everyone thinks it's just double T specifically, but I think it's just a way to allow people to do a lot of volume at threshold rather than the actual specific style training, which I think in and outs kind of let you do as well. You know, if you
Yeah,
try
it's
to,
funny. I was having this conversation with Jake Smith. We've been doing like a Road to London series.
Mhm,
I think last week I did like double threshold on the Tuesday with like 25K of like total work. And then on the Friday did a big like marathon specific session, 8x3K off a K float.
mhm,
So 24K of faster
yeah,
running. And I was so much more battered by that by the 8x3K of a K steady versus the double T session or double T day, despite having done pretty much the same amount of work. So
yeah,
I do wonder if it just, like you said, just helps you do high volumes of work without killing yourself, breaking down quite so much.
yeah, and it's easier for I know at least the kind of 15 5K guys to do threshold work because a lot of them don't like just doing 4 mile at tempo or 4 mile at 2 by 4 miles at threshold. You can just do that on a track, and it actually feels easier to do when you're doing each session. So I think it just allows people who don't like to do that kind of work do it easier.
Yeah, I think especially if you look at how much time you spend between those two thresholds across a week or a month, just
Yeah,
like those double sessions, even in a week, if it gives you 15 minutes extra across that month, that's more volume of training, isn't it? So it just opens that possibility up for
yeah,
people.
and because you've split it as well, probably stops you coming out of threshold as the volume. You know, the further you run, the further or the more likely you are to go out of threshold and go above it. So yeah, I think it allows that as well.
So when you do like more controlled sessions, do you ever you someone of these athletes who's taking lactates all the time? Like, I know Jake Smith loves his
Nah,
lactate meter and it's trendy, or you just going
nah.
off of effort? How you thinking about it?
I brought the heart rate monitor in recently. I don't look at it though. That's mainly for my dad to look at. But yeah, I was anti heart rate or anything. I just run. It's all RPE and effort. And when it is hard, it's just because you're a bit tired and you got to keep pushing. I'm probably a bit more on the aggressive side. Um, I used to do all my sessions myself. It's only the last couple of years, but probably since COVID that I've started using my dad on the bike to sort of pull me along and a bit of motor pacing. Um, but previous to that, all my main success was me just running it myself, no help, no pacers. Because I think with the marathon, you need to learn to push it yourself and kind of putting that bit with your national and keep pushing on and pushing the limit.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a skill, isn't it? But it's a bit of a shock to the system if you've been in a training group the whole time. You always got someone on the bike pacing you around, and suddenly you're in London Marathon, you're out by yourself, and you've just
Yeah,
got to push through. It's a completely different ball game psychologically. I mean, outwardly, as an outsider, my impression of you and your training has always just been you push it all really hard. I mean, I remember being out in a camp in Spain in 2019, and I think you were about in the same venue with with Welsh Athletics, and I just remember you even in your easy days, you were pushing things along. You weren't just going out jogging at 7:30 a mile pace. I just generally, do you think that's representative? You're quite good at killing yourself in training, just easy days again. How are you approaching them?
That's changed a bit just with all the injuries I've had to kind of. Yeah, but during my most successful period, yeah, most of my runs. But as part of when you get into marathon training, you get so efficient at that easy run. So yeah, I would be averaging in the 5:30s for most runs, pretty much. Or most easy runs. But that would just be as a warm
would
up.
that feel easy, or are you
Yeah,
still
yeah.
like putting a bit of effort in here?
Pretty easy. I think my average heart rate would be for those runs would be like in the 140s. But I know that's subjective, depending because some people seem to have super high and then other people seem to doing the same pace really low. Like, doesn't quite make sense. But it seemed to fit in with just that kind of below LT1 heart rate. So, but maybe because I was pushing it towards the end, getting down towards 510, 520s, I was maybe getting a bit of work at LT1 every day. But that's just me look back. But I remember the conscious decision. It was just before Frankfurt. I did a half marathon. It didn't go very well, and I was running that 6:30s, well controlled in myself, just easy. And then I went, I'm just gonna go run hard. I don't know why. I just started then. I started going under 60s, getting 5:40s, and then ended up running in like 4 weeks running a minute and a half to 2 minutes quicker over half marathon. So and ever since then I've just that's the way I run. I think it seems to help. I know some people that have
you can cope
done the
with
same.
it, then it's more training, isn't it? More stimulus. You're gonna get a bigger response.
Yeah. So I would never be like pushing it and where I was absolutely knackered. But I don't think the problem is I think with the way my engine is, it takes a lot to get it going, a lot to actually cause it to work hard enough. So.
And so you're not taking lactates in sessions, but you mentioned that you had some testing and it identified your running economy. Did you have that often, or was that just a sort of as and when if you were near a lab you went to it sort of thing, or were you planning that into your training?
That was more from my dad's side to see, because I struggle with the testing for a performance point of view. I know they claim that. Sorry if I'm annoying anyone. That it can predict performance. It can to some extent, but I've not had it too much. Maybe like once or twice a year, not for a long time. But I did one before I ran that 2:8 in London. I did it 2 weeks before, and I think it had me predicted at 2:10, based off the test. But I think it's more a good way to see if training's working, to see how that affects things. If it's moving up your LT1 or LT2, then it's working a certain way. I don't think it's quite, for me at least, a predictor of performance on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. When I was running a lab commercially, I would always be a bit nervous when someone would say, so what marathon time am I going to run? And I'd prefer to see what your marathon specific sessions were like versus what I can see in the lab, because, 2:08 versus 2:10, I mean, that's pretty close, but you never know how well that treadmill is calibrated. Some people move a bit better outside versus inside. And again, it's just a snapshot on one particular day. You haven't done your taper yet. You're not carb loaded up. And the test is done in 40 minutes, whereas you're going to deteriorate over the course of a marathon. And some people are going to be really resilient to that and some people are not. So I don't think that lab testing isn't about how fit you are in my eyes, because if you want to see how fit you are, you go do a race or you go do a really good training session. Apologies here. Wait a minute. But were you using those results, or do you know if your dad was using those results to drive your training and set training, or was it just a sort of a check-in to see if things were progressing?
I think it was just a check-in sort of thing, see how things were going, and then maybe a thing of if it's not working in the future, you can get tested and see where certain levels are and maybe adjust and fix from there. But yeah, we didn't look too much into it because, as you say, like I think with all lab testing in every industry, or there's always a percentage error in that. I think, and you can correct me on this. Is it half a kilometer? The error,
It could be, that sort of ballpark, depending
which is
upon, which is huge. In if you're
yeah,
talking about elite performance, that's the difference between qualifying for the Olympics and podiuming.
yeah. Well, 1% when you're operating at 3 is a kilometer. When you're operating no, sorry, a kilometer an hour difference is 3 minutes. So
Yeah.
or half a kilometer is a minute and a half. So and you only go up, and I think we moved it to half a kilometer each time. But I think a lot of people test just a kilometer an hour. They change it. So, but it definitely gives you a good shot, a good sight of see how training is affecting you.
Yeah, and like you say, I think 2 or 3%, even maybe more for some of the measures. So, like that is pretty massive. Like going by half kilometer an hour is way better. I think like the kilometer an hour is when you don't know an athlete and you don't know, you're trying to get like the full picture.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to ask just about some of the injuries you've had. I found some of you where you've discussed the injuries, and you sort of mentioned basically from 2019 to 2022 you're dealing with the same problem. Are you okay to talk through that sort of injury? Because I think that's probably the key one.
Yeah, I had quite a few weird ones as well. This is going way back, 2011, 2012. I did tear my meniscus in my knee somehow, which is apparently something you shouldn't do as a runner. I've had surgery, but then, through the years, I think just before Doha, I tore my hamstring. It was only grade 1, 3 weeks out. But it didn't affect me too much.
So you tore your hamstring 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out from coming 4th place at the World Champs.
Yeah, but it was my last session, so I was about to start tapering anyway. So it was fine from that aspect.
Tape it up, it'll be fine.
Yeah. It was only minor grade 1. It was fine on the day. I think I didn't start running until like 10 days before, maybe. But by that point, you've got all the fitness, and it just freshens you up. So and then just the odd hamstring calf tear, and then I think it was 2020. I somehow cracked a bone in my ankle that then ended up shearing the bone off completely. I don't know what it's called, but it's the part where you've got that kind of hole where your ankle and your foot meet, and then there's a kind of bone spur sort of thing that sticks up. That whole bit shaved off. I had to get surgery, and then ever since then, it's just been injury after injury. 2 stress fractures, I think, and then just hamstring and calf tears. It seems to be every November I got injured. Every time I went for Valencia, so I was actually happy I made it this time.
Speaking of Valencia, you didn't manage to finish the race this year or last year, right? Was it breathing issues you were struggling with?
Oh. Yeah, I've been diagnosed. I don't know how. Is it? What's the one where your larynx kind of closes up with it? Is it
I know what you mean, but I can't think of a name. Yeah.
I got that, and then just a general breathing problem. I seem to breathe with the top of my chest rather than with the diaphragm. So it was all fine in training. I thought I'd go over it, and then just about 25 to 30k. It's just my chest gets tight, and it kind of makes the effort almost like a 10k effort after that. So it's going to be pretty tough. But although I didn't finish, it was a positive step. I'm starting to hit times I'd hit previously at my best. So
because you broke the Scottish 10-mile record in the build-up to that race, right?
Yeah. I think I went quicker though in during a half marathon than that. But everything was going well. I was starting to hit 3 flat kind of paces in training and running. I was training at 2.6 pace, but I was going to go 2.8, 2.9 pace in Valencia and see how it goes. But unfortunately, breathing. But I've been working on that. I've got a breathing device to help train the diaphragm in the lungs to get that breathing pattern back in shape. I saw a physio, and it turned out my lung capacity and strength was way down on what it should be. So I don't know if that's always something I've always had, or just over COVID and everything, I've somehow got into a bad pattern or whatever. I'm not too sure, but it's going in the right direction. I'm sorting things out.
I really wanted to, as a fan of you as an athlete, I wanted to ask about some of your racing style. I mentioned like the Great Scottish Cross or Great Edinburgh Cross, sorry. That's on offer, or used to be on offer seat. And then things like Murakami Half, especially the 2020, is like one of my favorite races to put on the treadmill because it's you, Brett Robinson, Kelvin Kiptum at the front, all just pushing it. Have you always approached races like quite aggressive? Is that like the right word? Like just willing to sort of just go for it and see what happens? Is that always been your approach, or I guess how do you approach some of those races?
That's just because I don't have a sprint. I'm a typical front runner with no sprint, so I can't really have anyone at the end, as you saw at Edinburgh. Even when I gaff, I still get caught. But no, it's just it's kind of my running style a bit as well. It's still kind of the way I train as well. I'm just have a natural pace, and I like to run at it. But with Murakami, I genuinely thought they were closer, so I just kept pushing. I didn't look behind. I just kept going, trying to chase down the camera car. I don't know if I had a watch in that one. I used to not race with a watch at all. My first two marathons, I didn't race with a watch because you've got pacers, and then when they drop off, it's just you don't really have a choice. You just have to go whatever pace you can run at. But I think it was definitely one of my strengths is being able to just hit out a pace and just be relentless with it. Sometimes when I get tired, I actually speed up as
well. You've mentioned a couple of times that I've not got much speed. If you were to go run a 400 like flat out, what do you reckon you could go and do? Maybe not now, but I guess when you're racing at your peak.
Well, when I was a bit, I'd like to think I was probably too big, between 51 and 53. I'm not too quick. I think the best 200 ever run was like 26, maybe.
That's not awful. You'd still put Jake Smith away with that, like easy.
Yeah. I was all right. Yeah, it's just at the end of the race, I can't seem to pick it up.
Yeah. No, that's not. Not completely. You're not a snail at those short distances either. I would love to hear about your heat prep into the Doha World Champs. But I remember seeing videos of you in your shed in your garden with like heaters on and like getting the humidity up as well. And this is again with the context of after Gold Coast where you've had a bad experience and not managed to finish a race despite leading it. So how did you go about that heat prep for Doha World Champ?
I've always been decent, even for Gold Coast. I was out there 5 weeks before. I just got a mixture of things I got a bad bug bite that ended up in anti-inflammatories, which I later learned after is not the best for the heat. And then just it being that hot. I don't know if you've ever been to Australia, but it's a different type of heat. And then me being an idiot and pushing it on from like 15k because I thought everyone was going to. I didn't quite anticipate how much better than I was. I thought it'd be a lot closer race, not to sound arrogant, but
I think again, I'm sorry. I also heard you say that you're worried about like Mike Shelley in the last 2K. So I guess that comes back into the like just being worried about your strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yeah, and the boy of the Kenyan won the Gold Coast and he ran a super fast 2K. So probably done too much research that probably affected that caused me to end up, and just my general nature of pushing. And then I remember distinctly thinking at 30k, oh, this is tough, but it's a marathon, it should be tough. So when people ask, oh, did you start feeling it? It's like, how do you know the difference between overheating and just being tired from a marathon? But for Doha, it's something we always do before a championship because they're usually in the summer, somewhere reasonably warm. We'd go to Mallorca for 3 weeks before. But I remember for Doha, we distinctively would do our hard sessions early in the morning when it was still reasonably cool. So like 6, 7 in the morning. So you could focus on getting the quality and not being too affected by the heat. But then for just my normal runs and just a normal long run, for my easy runs, we'd be at we'd start a run at 10 o'clock. So it was already heated up, the sun's out. So we did a lot of that for 3 weeks before Doha. And then when I came home to keep those gains that I gained from that warm weather training, we had heaters from Lidl in the shed. It was a nice shed though. It's like a 4x5 meter shed, so it's a pretty big one. So it wasn't like it was like just a normal garden shed. But that was mainly just to keep the gains, and we do that 2 times a week for a couple of weeks, and then went out to Doha reasonably early. I think it was 10 days before. So I had enough time to adapt. But a lot of it is we got lucky on the day for the men's race. I remember the women's race was 32 degrees and 80% humidity. I remember that was the first day I landed. I went for a run and it was horrible. But we got 29, 30 degrees, but then it was 50% humidity, and that made a huge difference, at least to me. I think a lot of people maybe actually underestimate, because when you're going from 32 to 80% humidity down to 50% humidity, it actually starts feeling cold. So I think a lot of people think, oh, it's fine now, it's all cold. So I think potentially that helped with the race itself.
Did you do anything during the race? Did you have any like strategies to keep cool during?
Not too much. We learned a lot. So in Gold Coast, we were throwing ice or wet caps that had been in a cool box to cool down. But we did some heat testing straight after Gold Coast to see with a specialist on that, to see and he actually said that cooling your head's actually worse, because all you're doing is cooling your whatever's on the back of your head. I can't remember the term, but that
it'll be the arteries in the back of your head as well, and your blood will be going to your brain cooler.
Yeah, that's whatever that is, like your heat sensor, and you're just cooling the heat sensor, but not actually cooling your core temperature. So your body thinks it's cold, so it'll just keep pushing on. So what we, as a tactic for Doha, we were basically get to a point where you can go into that red zone and be fine, and then throw the ice cap on. So basically I started doing that. I think it's maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go is when you put that on, and then I knew I could push without any danger happening. And we also were having ice blocks or cooling blocks for just in the palms, because I've read somewhere that's the best place to kind of dump heat and cool stuff, because the blood vessels in your hands are a lot thinner. I think it's your hands and feet and your cheeks. So it's a lot thinner, so you can dump heat a bit better. Rather than if you focus on the head, you're just telling your brain it's cold, but your core temperature is actually still really high.
Yeah, I mean, just more about Doha. I can't even comprehend starting a marathon at midnight as well. Was that the start time? How do you go about that? From like just what do you eat in the day before, and when do you get up, and all of that sort of stuff? Or were you just pretty laid back about it?
Pretty laid back. I'm not too worried. You kind of just start doing runs at that time. You just just move your schedule. Once I got to Doha, I just changed my schedule and started kind of living as if that's 10 o'clock in the morning, sort of thing. So it wasn't too much change. I'm more of a night person as well, to be honest. I'm not much of a morning person. It's one thing I hate about the marathons, having to get up so early.
Yeah, I guess you can just start having lines every morning, can't you, and go to bed late at night.
Yeah, pretty much. You can get up at like 12 o'clock and be fine.
That actually sounds all right, doesn't it, to be fair?
Yeah. Usually, it's like 12 o'clock. It's usually the best time to race. How many times you come out at 12 o'clock and it's been like, oh, it's a perfect time to race. There's no wind, it's cool, it's good temperature. But I think with Doha, I know it's still hot, but the lack of sun, I think people underestimate. They just look at temperature. They don't actually look at the sun is probably one of the biggest factors when it comes to a hot race.
Yeah, I think like looking at Gold Coast and like, especially when you started to get into sort of where it really started to affect you, like you can just even see watching the YouTube video how hot it just looks, and yeah, like the tarmac, I imagine, is just radiating so much heat as well, like you can't escape it. Whereas at least if the sun's not out, that sort of removes that UV heating you up as well.
Yeah, you got to get a lot of kind of radiation heat from the sun. I remember we hit Surfer's Paradise. It was like stepping in a hot car. just that radiation of, I think that it was either new tarmac or different tarmac. Yeah, it was pretty hit. And then because of the timer running, how long a couple of the water bottles towards the end were just like warm. It was like putting warm tea on yourself. So that wasn't very fun. And then part of it just me pushing it as well.
Did just with Gold Coast, was there anyone on the course like telling you how far ahead you were, or were you just sort of just running as if, running, not to say scared, but you've got the field behind you and you just need to keep pushing?
No, there was maybe somebody was shout, but I think my dad was on the bottle station. I think it was 35k. It might have been 30, but I took the bottle like really cleanly, really good. But sometimes when you start overheating, you go kind of hyper focused. So you kind of end up in a kind of more hyper focus zone. So yeah, apparently I looked fine and brilliant, and then yeah, I think I maybe got too focused. So if somebody was shouting, I probably wouldn't have known. But knowing me, I would have probably just kept pushing.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to concentrate, I think, that deep into a marathon anyway, let alone like the heat and it being a championship and you're racing
Yeah,
for
and
gold.
when you're on your limit, sometimes it's hard to. It feels worse to slow down than just to keep going at whatever your natural rhythm is at the time.
Over the last few years, you've with injuries, you've been on the bike a bit more. Is that something you're still incorporating into your training? And what's your been experiencing with the bike? Do you think it's a useful tool? Do you like it?
Well, I'm a big cyclist fan. I actually started the bike immediately after Rio. I just did 2 weeks straight on the bike, and I think that really did help me to kind of keep, instead of taking 2 weeks completely off, just jumping on the bike allows you to keep everything going and almost keep the gains you make through marathon training. And then yeah, I know I ended up being short, but when I did the Glasgow half straight after that, I think once you work it out, I ran a 60:50. It's my fastest ever. I'd only done like 2 sessions, been doing running for like 2-3 weeks but being on the bike allowed me to keep that going and keep the engine rev. So I think it can be a good tool, but with how much I've been out, it's not a complete, like, can't convert it completely. Because when I was out with surgery with my ankle, you can't do anything for months, and then trying to gain back the running fitness through a bike, I don't think it works from that aspect. But I think if you're going to be out for a couple of weeks with an injury and you're already fit, you can really hold on to fitness. And yeah, maybe add a little bit extra, because you can train a bit harder on the bike than you can with running. You can just put more volume in at certain intensities just because there's less muscle damage. So it's something that's worked for me in the past, but it's also not worked for me. So still trying to quite get my head around it.
Yeah, I think you can't just go from cycling exclusively to expecting to jump on the, put your trainers on and be really quick. And you just feel, I do anyway, I just feel like I'm still trying to cycle. My legs feel horrendous. And you've probably got that specific conditioning.
If you've not been running for a while, I think, you lose a lot of like tendon stiffness and that kind of rebounding, which I think is a huge part of definitely in the help with running economy is your Achilles stiffness. So yeah, it's a good, if you can't do anything else, it definitely helps, but it doesn't convert directly if you've not been running at all. So
I was going to say, I reckon it worked pretty well if you did that for a few weeks before Doha and then came for it off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's worked in the past and it's not worked as well. I've come back super fit and quickly from just biking, and then when I got my surgery, I've not managed to get back from that. So
is that sort of 2 weeks post marathon on the bike something you've done more than just after Rio? Is that sort of maybe your standard sort of post marathon strategy?
Yeah, I've reverted back to just 2 weeks completely off, and I always feel like garbage coming back. So I think if you can do something that helps a lot, something I always do, just try and jump on the bike. Even if I can't remember who said to me, if you do a run the next day or jump on the bike the next day and then have your time off, it can sometimes be better. But I think that's kind of changed now with with the shoes. I remember the first time I had a proper go with the shoes. It's more your quads are just not as beat up as they were. I would say the marathon used to be feel like you're getting punched in the quads for 2 hours. Not big punches, just enough to constantly for 2 hours. But definitely the recovery's a lot quicker with the new shoes. It's not, the impact's just not there.
Yeah.
Where are you up to now, Callum, in your training? What's coming up over the next few weeks and months?
So I've had, ever since Valencia, I've had a bit of an inflamed bursa, which has been a bit problematic to try and get back to training. And it takes a long time to settle down. But I'm back up at full training the last 2 weeks, hopefully racing at the weekend. It's just a Scottish 10 miler, and then hopefully a marathon in July. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm pretty much, by saying marathon July, it gives it away quite a lot. There's not many then.
You don't have to confirm or deny this, but we've heard rumours that you might be heading back down under to have another go at a marathon in somewhere in Australia. But we'll leave it at that. Actually, we're not.
All I will say is I hope to make it over a bridge this time. That.
Yeah, nice. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is you've discovered Chinese shoes. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Blame YouTube for that. I've always been a big shoe geek, but when you're contracted to a certain company, you don't really get to see them much. But especially with the current era of shoes, it's super nerdy now. There wasn't back when I first started. There wasn't much difference between shoes. It was more of a personal preference. Whereas now it's all over the place. I know, Dan, you've done a lot of testing with what shoes work the best through based off running economy. But yeah, Chinese shoes they're definitely up there. I think they're moving very quickly. As a lot of shoe reviewers saying it's the year of the Chinese shoe.
Yeah, we've been enjoying them. Owain's got me onto them. I've got a pair of £60 shoes. I don't even know the name of them, and I'm loving them, to be honest. One of my best, my favorite daily mileage shoes.
Some of them are good. I know it's a bit daunting if you going on the AliExpress and seeing what's legit, but you get some good shoes for the prices.
Yeah. What's in your current shoe rotation? Now you're a free athlete, you can choose whatever you like. What you're using for your easy days, your sessions, what you're racing?
Because of that bursa though, I was stuck in the Winning Fadian 6, which is the race shoe. It was the only one that didn't irritate, so I was doing all my mileage in them, and they actually held up really well because I'm a bit of a shoe destroyer. Like for instance, the Asic Rays lasted 30 miles for me before I tore up the rubber.
There's not a lot of shoe there. They're not the most robust, are they, those ones?
Yeah, but even like the Skies, because they've got that cut out, I doubt I'd make over 100 miles before I start taking the rubber off. So it's them, and then the Leaning Ultras, some stuff from 361. They're their Fury's Future 2. But they sent me them, and then they've got an everyday shoe. But yeah, I've been kind of stuck with certain shoes just for my Achilles. But they're all top notch, to be honest. They're all fun. They're all great to run in. They all feel as good as any Western or Japanese shoe.
Yeah. Do you feel like even if you were maybe offered like a shoe deal, you'd rather almost actually be able to experiment and use what you'd like? Partly just your motivation, but also it gives you potentially more performance now.
Yeah, it's a tough one because at the end of the day, I still got to pay the bills. But yeah, it's been quite good being able to actually get the test shoes and not being stuck. Yeah, I know in previous years, I can say it now, it's fine. New Balance were a bit behind with their shoes, and then you start looking back, well, if I had a carbon shoe, what would I have done and everything. So it's quite good, to be able to move to what is the best shoe, because it seems to keep changing. 1 minute it's Nike, then it's Asic, now it's Puma, and then Adidas will potentially come out with them. So it seems to be shifting all the time, and I know even the foam, they're changing foam. It's moving from the Puma to ATPU. Okay, it gets all confusing, and then there's a little bit of personal preference. I've pretty much tried them all. So
I think it's where I think most of the brands have moved away from it now, but where they only have one super shoe, and if that doesn't work for you, then you're stuck. And that's where, Asics seems to be a really good shoe brand to be with, because you at least had 3 options. So you'd probably find something that worked, but that's where that limitation comes in, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I know. I've tried, like, for instance, at least Puma have a second shoe, but if you were stuck with the Fast Star, that wrecked my calves. I'm not sure. I don't have the bottle yet to try that for a full-on marathon. It is fast, but yeah, the next day my calves are done. And if that's your shoe, you're like, and there's no other option, you don't know. Even if it is a fast shoe, but it doesn't work for you.
Yeah,
And
it's
'cause
real.
I know
I mean,
there's,
sorry, Callum.
I know, like, there's like kind of high responders and stuff with certain shoes as well. So, and then everyone's mechanics are different. So,
What was it like being a New Balance athlete when the super shoes emerged? Nike come out with a Vaporfly 4%. Like even at Rio, like you finished 9th at Rio, I believe, like top 10.
yeah.
And even then, like Kipchoge's winning, but he's in the Nike 4%. Galen Rupp's come in 3rd, I believe, top 3.
Top 3. The top 3 had at the time we didn't know like how, because I think they kept it quite quiet at that point. And even when they fully released, still didn't really know what the difference was, because they were calling them 4%, but that was just on running economy, and equating that to sheer performance is quite hard. But luckily, I've got the mental ability just to put that aside and, like, this is the cards I've been dealt. And also the best thing about the marathon is you can just focus on yourself, which is a great thing. If I can go out and run a fast time or beat whatever my time, then that's all I can do. Luckily, it was that. And didn't really have options, so I didn't think about it too much.
That's a good headspace to be in. Like you said, you can't control it, and you've got your New Balance contract locked into them, and you're still competing with the best in the world. So
it's a bit annoying. I remember being on a call. I can't remember exactly who was on it, but they're all marathon runners or potential marathon runners, and they're asking us, "Oh, what do you want from a shoe?" And just being at the time, because it was probably 2016, 2017. It was all about everyone else saying, we want lightweight, and I'm like, can we just get like something a bit beefier protection? Because I think my dad had ran the numbers, probably just a bit of a fun experiment to see how much force actually goes through in a marathon, and it was like thousands and thousands of kilograms or something. If you take every stride and for every force, it was like a ton. So at least based off my experience as well, you thought I'd rather have a shoe that helps prevent that fatigue coming in, and your feet going numb and your quads going numb. But back then it was all about, we need as light shoe as possible, and then I was quite happy that all kind of got blown up with the new shoes and everyone didn't care about weight. But it's starting to creep back in now, but the alphas are like almost the same weight as a normal an everyday trainer back then.
Yeah, that's the direction it seems to be going now, isn't it? The foam is probably reaching what you can do with the foams, and now it's going back to just strip them down, make them lighter. There's so many shoes now that are 130 grams, but have got the super foam as well. Interesting to see where it goes.
Well, my first marathon, I was actually thinking about running the New Balance Vazzy, which was supposed to be more of a kind of tempo-y daily shoe, a training shoe, but they all convinced me, no, it's too heavy, too slow. The foam's too soft. It's not efficient enough, so I ended up doing all my marathons in the 1400.
I wouldn't fancy that now.
I've gone, even like daily trainers I've gone back to, I'm like, how the hell did I do 120, 130 miles in these? And these are supposed to be decent plus shoes back in the day.
Looking back on some of your races, is there any way they stand out to you and you just think, oh, that was, either an amazing experience or like just a, complete sort of race execution on your part? Is there like any real highlights for you?
Apart from Marigami, I think most races are something you could do slightly different. But yeah, first time I ran Marigami, another thing I wish I'd done was run 59.59. Maybe dipped a bit better. But I'm very good at it's a curse and a thing of just being happy with it at the time and then moving on. You know, sometimes I forget I've got a European bronze medal at the European cross because I'm just moving on to the next thing. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with everything. Of course, in a time, especially with Doha, 6 seconds off a medal, a nice medal would be would make it sweeter. But that's funny. Everyone thinks that I'm a tactical genius, but I was a bit of a fluke. I was just running. I wasn't tactically aware of much. I just knew they were up and down. I was just running my own race and just happened to catch them. Really, but I'm pretty happy with everything. I wouldn't change. Nah, I wouldn't change much races. And yeah, my standout ones will probably be my origami and Doha.
Yeah, that especially those Japanese races just look really mad and cool as well. Like I looked at the results, there's like 80 people with sub 64. Like it's just
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous.
It's pretty much there's barely any gaps. Maybe the odd 5 second gap all the way back to probably in the 70s, maybe 80s minutes. So if you ever go over to it, it's worth doing. There's not much there though in the actual town, but it's a good fun race to do. Just classic Japanese mentality of like, let's just go for it. I'll go it. If we die, we die, sort of thing.
I'd love to get over and race some of those Japanese races. Yeah, at some point. Callum, so you're only 33, but it seems like you've been around forever because you made your debut so young. You still got plenty left in the tank, right? You still motivated to go out and run PBs and get faster?
Oh yeah.
On the cards?
Yeah, definitely with the shoes. As long as I can go a little bit quicker, or at least get back to where I was, I'll be happy. But classic all athletes. We all think we're still development athletes, no matter how old we are. And I like to think, with the last 5 years, I'm still 28-year-old running wise. So I'm gonna keep doing it till I love it, or yeah. And if I start hating it, then maybe think about it, but probably not. I'll probably fall back in love. That's probably a reason to part of my success is just how much I loved it. I love just going out an easy run and just running in my own rhythm and just going for it.
That's great to hear because I think so many you hear stories of pros who really just hate running. Like, they're not a fan of it. They like it when it's going well, but if it's not going well, they're not going out the door. So
yeah,
that's it's great to hear that you do still love the sport. And I mean, these days people are running so well. Up into their early 40s. It was my birthday today. I've turned I think what am I? I'm a year behind you, so just turned 32. And I just keep thinking of all my friends who are running PBs in there and like really good times in their 40s. People are running
I know
2:15, 2:14, and they're 43, 44 years old. And you go, wow, I've got loads of time.
Yeah, it's a crazy sport right now, isn't it? With just everything. I have no idea what's a proper quick time anymore, and where the standard is. And then people are starting super early. People are continuing towards their 40s. I think running's just in a good place right now with that kind of stuff.
It's an exciting time to be in the sport, I think.
Yeah. It's just sometimes hard to gauge when you actually are, though.
I guess final one for me, but is there any races where like you wanna go have a crack at them either because they're super fast or just I don't know, like aesthetically sort of interest you? Is there anything that's sort of not necessarily the next 6 months but the next few years?
Yeah, well, I'd love to have done New York in my prime because I think that was a course that would really suit me, being more of a strongman's course. I think that would have really suited me, and also Boston as well kind of fits that, but that might be hard to do as a Brit when you get London usually 6 days later, something like that. And obviously, return back to London at full fitness. I always love running London. It's I don't know how many times you guys have ran it, but the crowds are always absolutely ridiculous. I think it was 2019. I remember going around one corner and it was so loud it hurt my head. It was just brilliant. And every time I've ran in London, the crowds have been just ridiculous. In an ideal world, I'd love to do all the majors, but that's probably going to be pretty hard, at least to do as a pro.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool to, yeah. And like Sydney probably lends itself to you as well, right? Like a bit of a sort of challenging course.
Yeah. Yeah, it's especially being in Scotland, I'm used to the hills. We always do some marathon training, a super hilly Saturday run.
Cool.
Yeah. And
Really,
any more from you, Dan?
Sorry, what was that? Oh, I missed
I
that.
said any more from you?
No, I think that was really great to chat to you, Callum. Long-term fan here, and great to get you on my podcast. Thanks for giving up some of your time. It was really, really appreciate it.
It's no worry. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers, Callum. Thank you for listening to the Physiology of Endurance Running podcast. The podcast is proudly sponsored by Soar. Soar are the producers of the world's best running apparel, designed to fit the needs of the runner that put in time and effort into the sport. Check out their link in the show notes below. If you're interested, we have additional content available on our Patreon. Link is also in the show notes.